So she just turns up and I was like, holy fucking shit, yes! Captain's Pod, Stardate 123021.6. Hello and welcome aboard the Starship's Enterprise, and thank you for joining us as we take a brief shore leave from the world of CinemaSins to explore the universe of Star Trek. I am your Captain Ian Whittington, and with me as always is our beaming ambassador, Deneé Hughes.
Stardate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
It nearly was, wasn't it?
I know.
It nearly was. It was like, oh shoot! Like all of my instincts were to carry on counting, but I'm an adult.
1-2-3-0-2-0-2 1-2-2-3-2-9-9-9. Wait, what? No, just one.
How are you, Ambassador?
I'm good. I'm excited and nervous because I'm enjoying this process. But we'll see what happens after today. I feel like I have too high of expectations. And I've spent the last few episodes lowering them. So
No, you enjoyed last week's episode.
I did.
It was much better. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're at we're a third of the way through. So this week we'll be looking at season 1, episode 4, which is called Absolute Candor. So we're a third of the way through. What I'll say is that the series definitely has a lot of work to do in the opening 3 episodes to set up a new universe, and it probably gives itself too much work to do when most of us just wanted to say hi to Picard and the cast of TNG.
We're simple people.
Yeah, we're a simple people. And this, it sets up an entire kind of new universe with a whole bunch of lore. But
I feel like, so I'm watching a lot of Marvel right now in my real life for our job, and then just in general because Marvel is releasing, all these TV series or these streaming series that sort of companion along with the movies that they put out, and Star Trek has that same potential, I feel, because they have so much lore and they have so much content that they can pull from. And so in a way, I'm like, okay, is Picard sort of intended to set up new people for bringing them into this universe, or is this like a standalone series? And that's something that I'm still not quite sure of. Like, we have this new captain, for example, that we haven't spent a ton of time with yet in the series, and I'm thinking, okay, is this trying to set up another kind of like a handshake, a little handoff from the past into now? But I haven't really got that vibe from this show just yet. It's mostly just setting everything up for what could happen. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm kind of watching for that too. Like, is this actually just sort of trying to set something up for the future? It's really obvious when Marvel does it. Oh, yeah, because you've got a post-credit scene that confirms any suspicions that you might have. And right. But here in Picard land, it's a little different. So yeah. I'm still trying to figure out how at the end of this I'm going to feel. Is it a bow? Is there going to be like a little bow on the story for Picard? And then a nostalgia boost for more content coming out? Or is this like a one-off thing? So
what I suspect is that if any of these characters gain traction with the fans and blow up on social media, they'll get their own series. So this happened with Pike. So Anson Mount joined Discovery as Captain Pike and immediately became the most popular thing about the show, and they just straight away gave him his own TV series, and that's going to come out next year, and that's him commanding the Enterprise. So if anybody exploded like that, they would give them a spin-off. So I think there's a little bit of testing the water here while also giving Picard a victory lap, because our man Sir Patrick isn't going to be acting for a whole lot longer, so squeeze it in. We know that season 2 and 3 have been filmed, so
season 2 and 3 of what?
Picard.
What?
You know this.
I forgot.
Yeah. So
really?
We know we're getting more, but I think that's going to be it. I think that'll be the lot.
Oh my God.
We don't have to watch it though. It's fine. You are not obligated. I will get Jeremy to do this, or Jonathan. That's fine.
Listen. Let's just jump into it, shall we?
With that, we will see you guys for a full debrief in 10 Forward after we have watched episode 4 of Star Trek Picard, Computer 2 to beam out. Okay, welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab a drink from the replicator and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode that me and Deneé just watched together. Most important question first, what is your beverage of choice?
Oh, I right now have no beverage, and I'm realizing that's a mistake.
Yeah, we got to ask the replicator for something.
Well, you know, pretty sure it just gave me marshmallow soup.
Oh, no. Well,
So I kind of fucked myself there. Oopsie.
The one time you need the replicator, well, this will serve you right.
I know. I'm getting a taste of my own medicine.
I would like a gallon of exposition, please.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Okay. So the episode we just watched, episode 4, Absolute Candor. The crew's journey to Free Cloud takes a slight detour when Picard orders a stop at the planet Vashti, where Picard and Raffi relocated Romulan refugees 14 years earlier. Upon arrival, Picard reunites with Elnor, a young Romulan he befriended during the relocation. Meanwhile, on the Borg Reclamation Project, Narek continues his attempts to learn more about Soji, while his sister Narissa's impatience with his lack of progress grows. And then 7 of 9 turns up!
A very good recap. Yeah, I feel like because we just left the beginning of the show and I was like, so feeling upset about, how long Picard is going to go on, that I need to just check in and be like, what, I'm fine. Everything's great.
She's
it's fine.
Okay. She's actually enjoying herself. I'm not holding her here against her will. I promise.
This might be part of the problem with not binging things for me, though, is like time goes on between when we watch it and I get out of the rhythm of enjoying it and then kind of getting back in. I've stopped almost caring, and I hate that about myself because there were parts of this episode that I was like, oh yeah, I like this. This is fun.
I'm feeling it as well. Like, I've watched it. The first time it came out, obviously watched it week to week, but the 2 times I've seen it before, it's back to back, and it's so much better.
When you go back to back?
Yeah, when you do it back to back. I'm really feeling the length of each episode and the pacing problems, and yeah, it's like 3 episodes of setup and you're like, we're in space, let's go. And then we do another jump back in time to explain more about a period in history that, we need to know. But this was all to introduce Elnor. It almost feels like an afterthought.
Yeah, so Elnor is being introduced and the culture of Elnor is being introduced.
Another subset of Romulan culture that we now need to get used to as well.
Legitimately and truly, there was a moment in this where it was just so many more words. There's a Romulan rebirth movement and some Rangers and a power vacuum that's by something else, and it's the same. It had that same feel as other episodes previous, where you kind of want some sort of manual to assist you with your watch along a little bit. But for those who really enjoy Star Trek and kind of know the lore, and I'm not going to repeat myself too much because I've said it in previous episodes, but there are people who probably are really excited about like understanding the history or just being able to take these new names and these new places and these new words that associate with like politics and government and all that. And it's just kind of a natural stick it over here in my mind and this is where it goes. But for myself, who I love the characters, but all of the words lose things for me. I'm learning how to, or at least remembering how to shut that part of me off that wants to keep track and just enjoy the show.
And trust that the show will remind you of the stuff that you need to know. Yeah.
Because it will. They do that on the previously on section. This episode starts off with a previously on that was genuinely helpful to me. And I know that we sin that in our job a lot.
Yeah.
But there is a purpose to the previously awning a little bit. And this one, like Picard was talking and he was just setting up like, Data had 2 children. One was murdered in front of me. Now he said that again in the episode when he was talking to Elnor, but sometimes those previously on just kind of put you back into the world a little bit for the non-bingers.
Yeah.
And that was helpful. And it's okay. Like, I don't mind world building. I really don't. And I guess Star Trek can have the confidence to do it because they've kind of put in their time, and in a way it's like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And also it is fun to see the different races and the different species. When we were like first on that planet 14 years in the past, it's just like, oh, this is kind of cool. You know, we're getting to see Star Trek creators and producers sort of flex a little bit and being able to show us these worlds using CGI and really different set pieces and things like that maybe they couldn't have done, 20 or 30 years ago.
Or without it looking very cardboard and paper mache-y.
Which was fun back then, but now it wouldn't really hold up. Like back then it's like, okay, we're going to take our, we're going to go shoot in the desert and to get this
absolutely
feel.
Know it's a desert on Earth.
Yeah. Like they're just going to add some fluffy things in the background, the foreground.
Let's make the sky purple because we can do that.
Yep. We're going to just some colored smoke. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
And then create costumes and then create like weapons that look unique or whatever. But now we have this where it kind of like this planet, what was it called again?
Vashti.
Vashti. Yeah. It had a vibe of like Lord of the Rings, elf kind of vibe.
Very
like in
much.
The background.
Yeah.
It was very
especially where the Coatmalat live. Like it's almost like they're up on a big hill and they're like kind of secluded and they're the kings and queens almost. But they're nuns. They are warrior nuns.
They're warrior nuns, we've learned. So that's kind of cool. So I don't know. There's like I kind of like, part of me is like, I don't mind this. And part of me wants to get in, when you told me when you reminded me rather that there's like 2 and 3 seasons, I kind of calmed down a little bit because I guess I kind of feel like, oh, we need to be getting somewhere because we don't have like a ton of episodes. So let's go. But that's not always how storytelling works. You often have to lay the foundation. I just hope that the foundation that they're spending so much time creating is something that really pays off.
Yeah.
Where we spent enough time here that it makes sense later.
It does seem strange to me that there's so much exposition in the first 3 episodes. And it feels like at the end of episode 3, it's like we're on mission now. We're going to Free Cloud. Let's kick off. It feels like almost a comma or a stumble to then, like you kind of relate to Raffi. To Raffi and Dr. Jurati, and Raffi's angry that they're detoured to Vashti, and Jurati's just really confused about why they're detoured. So between the two of them, they accidentally, or maybe deliberately, sum up how the audience is feeling. It's like, will you just get on with it? Also, what is happening here? What's going on? Like, Dr. Jurati was just Little Miss ask the expositional questions like, what is absolute candor? Why are we here, Captain Picard?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Can we talk about absolute candor? Are we skipping around a bit?
No, we can talk about it. So I guess we're introduced to the Coatmalat, which is another group of Romulans that have never been introduced in Star Trek history. This is brand new. So there's a lot of Romulan world building that goes on. TNG did loads with the Klingons, so we know pretty much everything about Klingon culture, their rituals, their history, so much. We know next to nothing about the Romulans, so I think that's why this series has focused on it so much, because there's an entire culture there that we haven't tapped into, and it's just a big sandbox that people can play in. And the Coatmalat in particular have been picked up in Discovery as well in season 3, so they're properly canon. They have been picked up by other series as well.
They are pretty cool looking, not gonna
really
lie,
cool.
They're all in black, so it's kind of a play on the nun thing where you've got like you're thinking like when you
badass
think nun,
monks.
you think like purity and all this stuff, but these are like they're kind of just dressed all like almost like ninja style.
very much with the samurai swords as well.
And I did think that they did a good job throughout this episode of saying things that we now can call, like now I know that they will bind themselves to a cause. I know that, they're very direct with their words and they expect that what you say is what you mean without, masking anything. And I love that. There was a mention of it being annoying. I can't remember who said it, but it was
Agnes
something like
says it, Jurati. Which is funny because I think they made her say it because she is the one that's annoying. Yeah. I think it was a bit tongue in cheek.
I think you're right about that. Which, by the way, I love her. She's great.
She's adorable. She's so good.
Well, she's also very direct and forward, and she just says what she's thinking, And so I kind of was more drawn to her in this episode than in previous episodes.
Like I know I'm annoying, and I know I'm annoying you, and I'm going to keep doing it.
Yep. And so I liked the candor idea. I've had friendships where I've been able to be gut level honest, even if I know, because we're kind of trained to avoid hurting each other with our opinions.
Just avoid conflict selfishly, just to avoid calling people out, because it leads to difficult conversations.
But if you can find a way to do it, to not even just call out, but which is part of honesty and just directness, but if you find a way to be honest using, the candor, there's a way to call people out and have conflict where it's not combative and like caustic.
But you've got to have both sides at the table for that. You've both got to go into it knowing that, okay, we're just talking about honesty here. Let's leave the ego at the door.
The introduction to the idea of absolute candor in this episode, however, was a little jarring to me, and probably very purposefully so, with Picard and the lady, I don't remember her name, it's okay, the nun lady, when she's just like, Picard hates children, and doesn't say hate. Picard doesn't like children because they're annoying and they're a waste of time, or however that was, that whole scene. And I was really uncomfortable with that, because I thought, okay, does Picard not enjoy children? Is this part of the, like, his backstory that I've just forgotten?
So episode 1, and it's jarring for me, and I have all of the pieces, because for me it played as, we all know this, why you're slapping me in the face with it so that I notice that he's changed. But you also, if you hadn't acknowledged it, it would have been like, oh, well, Picard doesn't like children, this isn't the Picard that I know and love. So in episode 1 of TNG, he takes Riker to one side and says, for some reason Starfleet has chosen to give me a ship with families on board, and it is your responsibility to make sure I don't make an arse of myself. And there is this running theme of Picard not being comfortable with children, and whether that's because he's never put them as a priority because of his career or whatever. He's awkward with Wesley when he's a teenager. He gets trapped in a lift with 3 kids, and it's beautifully awkward. It's so good. But
well, then that's awesome. I just didn't remember that. And what a great, that's the kind of stuff that as a fan I would love, because it's like, good, you're staying true to character.
Yeah.
And what a way to introduce like a strange dynamic between Picard and a child that would grow up to be an adult that would help him in the future. Like, that's just gorgeous. A smart move. Yeah,
I really cool. Love it. But I didn't need them to almost be protective about it. Like, if Picard is playing with kids, I get it. You grow up, you change, you evolve. His perspective has changed. His career is over. He probably has regrets now about not having kids, so it makes sense. But it did feel like they had to be a bit defensive about it, saying, yeah, we know he doesn't like kids, and we're doing something about it, instead of just letting it happen. But it's his relationship with Elnor. I buy more than him and Raffi. I buy more than anyone else we've met so far. Like, they have done a great job of bonding those two together. Like, Elnor really loves him and just wants his approval, and has felt abandoned for the last 14 years.
Can we use that word abandonment to leap off into the next thought about this episode?
Yeah.
So in this episode, I'm watching how people are responding emotionally and factually to Picard being the reason that there is an abandonment. And I kind of am going back and forth in my mind. So let's just chat about this. So the frustration from some of the Romulans is like, you left us, you abandoned us, rather than you rescued us and we would have died, right?
Correct.
Was the idea that they took the Romulans and they just put them on whatever planet that they could.
Whichever one was closest and safe, yeah.
Get you out, like, and then we're going to come back and we're going to put you someplace else once we have another place set up.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So you stay here for now so that you don't get blown up, and then we'll deal with where 6 billion of you go.
Okay. So then the plan of getting them from the rescue planets to the final planet is thwarted because Starfleet yeets out.
Yeah, because the fleet was basically destroyed. Whichever Romulans had been rescued up to that point, that was it. And also, the Federation just decided, hey, the Romulans are kind of weak now. Let's leave them that way. Is what's implied. Like, they didn't go back and do it. They was like, well, they're okay on that planet. They'll be fine.
So then there's like the idea is that there's no communication from Starfleet from that moment on, or Picard. Okay.
Yeah.
So Picard shows up after 14 years and they're like, you left us here because we were weak and we trusted you. Not grateful at all that they're just alive in general. They are aware that their planet was destroyed, right? Like they're like the last ones, right?
Yeah, so the interesting, that they are. There's probably, I think there's a few planets filled with Romulans, like a few colonies and whatnot. But the key thing he says is that you underestimated us and you underestimated like Romulan genius. So he is so arrogant that he thinks if you'd left us alone, we would have engineered a solution.
Right.
But because we depended on you, we didn't bother to think of another solution.
And that's fine. I mean, like the hubris of it is fine. Like I'm not bothered by that. What I'm kind of stuck on is that Picard thinks that okay. So Picard loses his job. He puts it on the line. He's like, do this or I'm out. Starfleet says, well, then you're out. So then he quits his job. He resigns from Starfleet. And so is the idea here that he then goes to his vineyard and then just pouts for 14 years?
Basically.
Okay.
And he does address this with the warrior nun lady. He says that he regrets letting perfection be the enemy of the good. So because he couldn't rescue all the Romulans, he decided to do nothing and just hide and bury his head in the sand.
Further from that, the thinking is then that had he done something in the last 14 years, he would have taken, without a job, he would have somehow gotten a ship and then just started teleporting or transporting like 10 at a time to nearby planets over the last 14 years all by himself, like funded by himself, because he didn't have resources after he left Starfleet.
Yeah, well, that's what they're saying. And I think he could have chosen to stay in Starfleet instead of saying, I'm out and losing all of his influence. Like, they don't care. They just see him as the embodiment of Starfleet. They don't care why he quit or why he left.
The perception is okay. Like, or I mean, it's uncomfortable because there's confusion. I just like, I'm trying to get into the mentality of Picard, because yes, he could have not resigned, but then he still wasn't going to be able to go and rescue the Romulans, right? Because they were telling him that he couldn't.
Yeah, but the existing Romulans, he could have helped them. So the communities that are now there and whoever was saved have devolved into like gangs and just a crappy way of living and riffraff. Whereas they could have, it is such a parallel to British colonialism and empire stuff. It's like, no, it genuinely is like, we're going to go over, we're going to bring you civilization, and then we're going to fuck off. And then you have the next 50 years to do whatever you want, but we're going to give you this technology and we're then just going to leave you to it and hope that everything works out fine and
expect that we still have a tie together.
Yeah, and expect you to still be cool and invite me over for tea and crumpets. It's so similar to that. And yeah, they're just pointing all of this anger at Picard, even though in reality he couldn't have really done much, even in Starfleet.
This is what my thing is. Picard himself is like, I'm sorry, we failed you, I failed you. It's like, well, okay, but how is that true? I guess you could have not buried your head in the sand and maybe sent a couple of letters.
I think the point is he didn't even try. Like, he would have been happy if the last 14 years was campaigning and helping and done something, but instead he did nothing, and that's worse than not trying. Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, yeah, then that's a disappointing revelation about Picard. But he's a human. He's a human too, and I know that's kind of the point of the show, is showing his failures as a person. I know that was a long way to get there. But so the abandonment part, but the abandonment part was like, I was like, okay, but how did that? How does this abandonment
why are you so pissed at him?
Work?
Yeah.
And it was interesting to see the Romulan side of things, whether they're delusional or not. It's fine. Like, it's just interesting story. There's always going to be a villain,
Yeah.
But watching Picard villainize himself, now I understand that it's like he didn't do much for 14 years, if anything. And that is sinful.
Yeah, so thinking about it, like, there is a nice bookend to the Romulan story here, is we see Starfleet's side of it, we see what stopped them from helping, and now we see the aftermath. We see what the Romulan side of the equation is. So in that respect, it's a bit jumpy and it's a bit all over the place, but you do get the full picture by the end of it. And we can almost put that to bed now and move on to the actual mission.
Right, except for that now we have a decapitated person, so that was a decision that they made.
They did, and I'm really, really relieved that Picard took Elnor to task for that, because he got murdery so quick. He murdered 2 Romulans in front of everybody.
2? Oh, yeah, he did. He stabbed the first one. Yeah.
Please, choose to live.
Whew. I mean, what a way to show that this kid knows how to just kick all the ass.
Oh, it's badass. It was awesome, but it's not very Star Trek. That was a full-on decapitation.
That was a full-on decapitation, but we also have seen an android just fully murder a room of people, too, in Picard. So,
hell yeah.
So it's kind of, in a way, it's kind of like, ooh, that's...
We're dark.
This show is growing up. Oh my gosh.
So, I have a question. How did you feel about Raffi in this episode?
I think Raffi is playing the role of questioning Picard and trying to move the mission in a particular direction really well. I don't think that she did much in this episode other than be the one that questions Picard. Mm-hmm. There was a moment when she sort of kind of connected to Picard as a human that might be dying soon. This could be his last time to go to this planet, which I liked that scene. I thought that was a really good moment between the two of them where he's like, I'm going here. I'm revisiting Vashti because I might die. I might never even get to go back. 3 cheers, hip hip hooray that we have a warrior joining us, and now 7 of 9. That's just part of the fun of this mission progressing as the story wants it to. I think she has an ulterior motive for going where she's going, and I think she's driven by her own agenda. That's pretty clear. Mm-hmm. And I suspect that before long, she'll be right back in with kind of wanting to be a part of the crew that's assembling and find, they're going to all find their dynamic. The dynamic of this crew is interesting as well. You have the wide-eyed, this is my first time in space character, which I love. You have the captain that's sort of
boring.
Why is it called space? It should be called all the stuff.
Vast amounts of stuff.
Yeah, I really enjoy her inquisitiveness and directness and scientific mind. And when she walked into the meeting and she's like, is this like a private meeting or am I part of the crew?
It's so cute.
That's me in real life.
Yeah.
Going, can we just talk about do you want me here? I don't know.
Could this have been an email? Do we need a Zoom meeting for this?
Just going to say things directly, possibly make things awkward. I'm just trying to be honest. So I really enjoy her. I'm starting to understand the humor vibe of this pilot with all of his own face on all these different characters. It's fun because I look over at you when we're watching these and you've got this huge grin on your face. You really enjoy that dynamic a lot.
Rios is fucking great. And it's informed by episodes to come. This is why, you can, when you rewatch something and you enjoy it more because you know what's coming.
Yeah, that's
he's
true.
He's so good. He's so satisfying.
When he pulls up the person that's going to be firing and they're talking in Spanish, is this is so great. What a wonderful thing to do.
It's I need the weapons person quick. And he just appears and it's this Spanish guy that's just really drunk. And he's just I guess I'll fire some weapons, whatever.
That was delightful. Then you kind of mix in Raffi. Yeah. And I think she's just exasperated and going to want to get through it so she can get away from Picard. But I think she'll probably end up falling back in love with just the idea of him and maybe even helping his arc as Picard kind of finds peace with his decisions. And now we have 2 new crew members. Yeah. One brand new to everyone, and then one that's just oh shit, 7 of 9, what the fuck, woo!
So let's jump to we'll get onto the Borg ship in a second, but I think you're happy with the Vashti and the Romulan situation. How did you feel about that? Because I deliberately didn't look at you because I didn't want to give it away. But how did you feel about 7 of 9 just beaming in and turning up? You knew she was going to be in the series.
Yes. There's a couple of reasons I know. 1, I've seen pictures on the internet. And 2, I was searching through GIFs the other day, and one of the ones, I can't remember what I was looking for, but she's on a particular GIF where she's saying something for Picard, and I was I can't read the text on this because then I'll be spoiled.
Yeah. Nope.
So I know she's there. I was not expecting her in this episode, but I think you actually told me she might be appearing soon, so I should have probably expected that.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that.
But I didn't know who is going to be beaming in.
If you rewatch that scene, you will notice that they say he and him 39 times Like there is so much misdirection there. Like his shields are down. He's asking for help. What should we do with him? He's coming. He's beaming in. Watch out for him. He's about to arrive, all manly and stuff.
That's true.
It's a woman.
I was wondering, like, okay, who's it going to be? And I guess I was envisioning a male character.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the first time around, it worked on me because I didn't know what episode she was going to be in. So she just turns up, and I was like, "Holy fucking shit! Yes!" Like, throw me a ship, Picard, and then collapses.
She just passes out.
It's so good because you've got 7 of 9 back. Picard and 7 of 9 we've never seen on screen together, so it's great that he knows. Of course, he knows who she is, but she knows who he is as well. Like, I don't know. It was such a cool moment to.
I don't think that I knew that they've never been on screen together until right now.
Never been on screen together. It was such a cool moment. Great.
So here's what I think I liked about it from a story writing perspective. I like that the female saved the day. I appreciate that. But then she also immediately needed to be rescued, which is an interesting thing too. Like, but I understand it's a much cooler moment to have her beam into the ship rather than hail and see her on screen.
It's one of the best plot devices in the world, the transporter, because it is a slow reveal. It's a slow curtain that you pull back. It's so good.
Yeah. It's also really convenient because apparently you can be like, beam her right here.
Now, right here. Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
But that was interesting. The fight scene was an interesting fight scene too, cinematically, just like kind of watching this epic bird of prey that used to be the most terrifying thing that you would see when you watched old school Star Trek, like when it decloaked back in the day.
So did you recognize it then?
Of course I did.
Oh, that's amazing. That's great.
Like, oh God, this is terrifying. We're going to die because they were so dangerous, you know? So there's that kind of element to it. So you're engaging in this, but then you've got this little ship against a big ship and we're outmaneuvering, and then you've got the planet's defenses. And so, you know, in my mind, you kind of like, I go autopilot a bit because you know that they're not going to die.
No, you haven't got a show left. Yeah.
It kind of felt like it was getting a little long. I was like, okay, so how long are we just going to be in this outmaneuver battle? You know, the introduction of the next character that's fighting, that the crew member, the Spanish crew member, that made it kind of fun. And then this ship appears out of nowhere, and so I'm like, okay, so we got a new buddy.
Who are you?
I think getting them onto the ship was really interesting, and also the whole like ship falling apart and hitting the planet's defenses and kind of bouncing. That was pretty badass looking.
That was really cool.
Oh, or the moment whenever they sliced off the bird of prey's arm.
Good. I died so much because I was so happy when they mentioned it. I was like, okay, there's no way we're gonna see it on screen. Like they mentioned this, the bird of prey, because they mentioned it earlier, saying that this gang leader has stolen an antique bird of prey. I was like, whatever, just bit of, you're saying some things. When it turns up, I lost my whatsits because it's updated graphics, but they kept the same painting underneath. It was so good. And the green lasers, like it wasn't bullets. Like the pew-pews in Star Wars and New Star Trek are always like kind of little bullets that get fired out. This was actually solid
like torpedoes
lasers
or something.
Yeah, exactly.
This was like old school tech. Like
so good. I loved it.
Solid lasers that doesn't make a lot of sense in a close battle because the lasers cross over. So it was an interesting thing. And I wonder what the writing room is like on an episode like this. We're like, okay, so this ship only fires in these ways.
Yes.
So these are going to go do this. And
well, this is like the classic TNG battles, is that the two ships usually stay nose to nose, take it in turns very politely to fire at each other until they back off. Like that's it. There's no like dynamic stuff until Deep Space Nine and Voyager. But
when the CGI caught up to the desire of like, what a wonderful world we live in where we get to see like incredibly dynamic space fights. And this was, I think, well done. I had a good time with it. Totally that was fun.
But I hurt a little bit when they chopped the nacelle off of the bird of prey. I was like, oh no. I really wanted them to steal it. It's just like, this is ours now. And we're going to have two ships. Fuck you.
I was wondering, however, like how did they have enough power to chop off the arm like that. That just seems like an OP thing for those little ships to have.
Oh, definitely. You've got to wait for the shields to go down. Yeah,
so,
I don't.
But they don't. I don't think they hit it enough for the shields to go down.
No. It was a bit wonky. It was kind of like, we have a cool visual and we're going to find a way to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. Like in my mind, I'm like, yeah, that shouldn't happen. I mean, I'm all for our heroes winning because that's what feels right. But there's no fucking way that they should be able to like hot knife through butter their nacelle off. That's not okay.
No, that's not fine. But that last 6 minutes of the episode is amazing. The pacing is so good. Love a good space battle. Love the phasers. And 7 of 9 turning up was amazing. And she looks different. Her hair isn't up in a bun. She looks like a human now. Like, they've allowed her to be in comfortable, practical clothing. And it's so good to see her back on screen. So, the Borg cube, we get a tiny, maybe about 7 minutes on the cube. And I don't know about you, but when we first cut to the cube, I was so excited and so much more interested. I was like, this is the bit of the story that I'm really drawn to, which is interesting because I love spending time with Picard and everyone, but this is the bit of the story that actually feels fun and I want to know more about. How do you feel the same about it? Or
no, I don't
do you get
think
fed
so.
Up with the mystery?
I don't really care about much going on over there, and I think it's because it's clouded in mystery, and I know it's going to be that way for a while. They're going to milk that for as long as they can. And we're building over here. So even though I'm like, we'll get there later sort of a vibe, I'm not as interested. It was really cool going into the Borg ship the first time. And I remember when we saw it on screen, I was like, this is so rad.
Yeah, look at it.
But I was so disappointed with the time that we spent on the Borg cube. I think that's maybe what you're building up to is you're excited to go. Did it pay off for you in this episode? Because for me, it was boring.
Exactly. Like when it cuts to the cube, I'm like, yes, we're back. Answers. But we only get 10 minutes there and it's more of the same. We get a couple of sentences from Narek saying that we know what his mission is. It is to activate her to find out if there's any more androids. Like we now know that his mission is how many androids are there out there? We have to destroy them all. But that's all the development that we get. Yeah, that's basically it. They fall in love a little bit more. He lets her know that there's no record of her being on a ship that she thinks she was on and has a memory of being on.
Do you think they're falling in love, though, or do you think they're just having fun and using each other?
Yes.
Okay. Like they're confused
column
about
A,
it too.
column B, it's lust.
All right.
Yeah, they're definitely in lust at the minute.
I have to tell you, something that should never happen ever again is a delightful, happy, carefree sock romp in a Borg ship.
In a Borg cube. It kind of belittles the environment, doesn't it?
That should never happen again. And I was like, what's going to happen here? Like something cool is about to happen because he's talking about this like Borg ritual, right? So I'm thinking, oh, Borg ritual, cool. So then they go and he's like, take off your shoes. I'm like, all right, okay. This is really interesting. Maybe he's going to turn into some sort of like, maybe he'll be transported into a computer system and then come out of the ventilation system that he just mentioned on the other side with something like an enhancement or a memory or something really interesting here. But instead, he does this, kiss his lips, makes a sign of the cross, touches his butt, and then and then just like slides across the floor, which if you've ever worn socks on a surface that's not carpet, you've potentially slipped around and had a little fun, but it's a reach.
It's a bit of a reach. It's a way to give them a sweet moment.
Because then they kind of like do this swirly love thing, and I don't know. I was disappointed because I wanted to have a cool Borg thing.
As old as time.
I wanted to see Borg shit. I didn't want to see love shit.
Yeah.
You know?
I was slightly relieved that there wasn't a ritual because I was like, yeah, no, the Borg.
Well, but they could have had something that was like, could be perceived as a ritual, right? Like a routine,
but it's
and he had
just
discovered
a routine.
it, and it could have unlocked something cool. So I was like, this is going to be part of this, a mystery moment. No, they're just going to ice skate in their socks until they make out. I just think in general, I want to mention, you said something about comfortable, practical clothing for 7 of 9. And I just want to say before we go on to the rest of the show and kind of, do our remaining segments that I love the costuming of Picard. I am obsessed
So
with
good.
it. It is so good. It's like this really incredibly thought through casual wear that is so. I want these clothes. And so while I was bored with this episode, which happened several times, I decided to go shopping online, and I have found some cool shit. Not only people that are recreating some stuff on Etsy or eBay, you know, things like this, but I came across a couple of things. First of all, there is a CBS store that sells Picard merch. There's a lot of stores that sell Picard merch. You know, you got your like just normal merch, not like recreations of costuming. And I'm looking for recreations
Mugs and pens
of
and
yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Yeah.
And there is a fucking sticker that says this facility has gone blank days without an assimilation.
Oh, let's get it.
I was like, that's so cool. We
I
still
love
have
it.
that. Yeah, so that's actually a fucking sticker that you can get, which was really exciting.
That's great.
But more importantly, and this is amazing, I'm going to send it to you right now because I want you to see it.
Okay.
I'll just text it to you. I found a person on Etsy. Now this is a leather jacket that costs $1,160, but they recreated 7 of 9's jacket.
Oh, it's identical.
And it is
that's
so badass.
gorgeous.
It looks like it's got like almost spines on the side. And if you've seen the show, you kind of know. I only saw her for just a split second, so I haven't connected to her costuming just yet. But it looks
Have you seen the
so
back
cool.
piece?
I know, right? The back piece looks like a spine. So there are people that are.
That's awesome.
I know there are people that are recreating, clothing. But the one that I was specifically looking for, this seems so lame, but I do pay attention to costuming a lot. I really enjoy costuming.
And if you're going to do it, Star Trek is the place to focus on it because they nail it.
There's a website, trekmovie.com, and there was an article they did in 2020 that says, come and get a look at the Star Trek Picard costume display that's currently in San Diego. So this was January in San Diego. And they had, on display the different people's costuming from the show. And so I was trying to look through to see if I could even just see this undershirt. This is what I'm obsessed with.
Yes, the black one
the
that
black
Picard's wearing.
Undershirt.
Yeah.
It's like, what's so neat about the costuming is you can look and see that the way that they've put the paneling together on these shirts, it really mimics the command uniform, but all in black. So unless you're really paying attention to it, even the collar, it all just looks like his old collar. And it does, so
and his
clever.
His jacket that has got like the shoulder pads that are a slightly different color.
The
leather.
paneling, yeah.
I want that jacket so badly. It's gorgeous.
It's so cool, and I don't know. I don't know when. I think I felt this way about Lord of the Rings too. Just you can tell that the set designers and the costuming, they put so much attention into the detail because they really cared about it. And I don't know, I'm just seeing that here a little bit, and I just had to mention that before we go on.
And when you design things for the future, it's hard because you got to predict fashion. You got to not make it look too cheesy. It's got to age well. And I feel like all of these outfits are going to age really, really well. Like they're still going to look in the future, but not cheesy.
They went minimalistic, which I feel is really appropriate. And then even some of the materials that they're using, that's just like, it makes sense. It's not, it doesn't feel like a theatrical costume. It feels like clothing that they're wearing, but there's just the details of these winks and nods into like a nuance of, like, especially for Picard, showing his rank and almost that he's worthy of wearing just a simple black shirt that looks like it should be in command. And then of course he pairs it with a jacket, and we everyone's like, oh, the cool jacket. I'm like, just where can I buy that shirt?
Where's the fucking undershirt? Oh, it's great.
I still haven't been able to find it.
I'm so glad you like that.
Yeah, I love it.
Hey, as soon as you find it, send me a link. I'm buying that thing. It's stunning. That's something they do really well. Okay, well, with that, let's head to engineering for ReSINstance is Futile. Battle stations, everyone!
Warning. Warp core collapse in 10 seconds.
This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sin brains, remind ourselves that no TV show is without sin, even our beloved Star Trek. I have so many. We don't need to do all of them. Would you like to go first?
No, you should.
Right. Computer, pause holomatrix, accept the fire. So there's a recreation of Picard's office in his chateau. It's a recreation of that office on board the La Sirena. and he looks out the window, the birds are fluttering, and then he says, "Computer pause program." Why? I don't know, but all of the birds stop in midair. Immediately, you look back in the room and the fire is still going. That's a holographic fire. Don't tell me it isn't.
Oh.
And the fire is still flickering. It's still going.
Oh.
There's still noises. And then he's like, resume program, and the birds carry on chirping. Why pause it? And B, you didn't actually pause it unless, for some reason, on this holodeck, you've put an actual fire in there, which doesn't make sense. I'm done.
That's a really good point. Because
I'd have sinned the shit out of that.
The computer would have had to have assumed that it knew what he was talking about when he was staring at the birds. Very good. I missed that completely.
It means that the computer assumes he still wanted the fire on, or it's an actual fire. None of those things make sense.
Right.
Your turn.
I'll just start off with we already talked about like the Borg ritual, but before I forget, the part that really annoyed me, if it's a ritual, you need to pay attention to the sequence. Sequences are important in ritual. So
for sure.
In that case, Narc, which is what I'm just always going to call him. Narc. He kissed his fingers and did this, but then whenever what's her name that I can never remember her name?
Soji.
Why can I never remember her name, Ian?
I have no idea. There's only one of her. It's not like she has a twin with a very similar name.
It's so stupid. Every single episode. When Soji starts, she just runs in her socks. How rude. Okay, you're doing
what was
a
the
ritual.
Point?
Kiss your mouth with we'll do the thingy, and then go
spank your own ass.
That's what you're supposed to do. And that really frustrated me. And I would have sinned that because that would have been a fun way to send that. That would have been a fun way to send that scene.
Totally fair.
Besides just saying that it existed. Scene. But I would have sent the fuck out of that scene.
It's so forced, isn't it? Like, it's just...
Let's talk about it for another 25 minutes because I hated it so much.
Yep. This will be a long sins video.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Picard is still shocked that he's not welcome. So they get to Vashti and they're like, "Oh, just call the Central Command Center. Tell them that Captain Jean-Luc Picard is here and they will let me onto the planet." And Raffi is just like, "Yeah, no, I did try that and they said, fuck you." And then just a look on his face of, I never.
Okay.
Why are you shocked that nobody's a fan of you anymore?
Well, I'm going to bounce off of that and say that one of the things that I also found frustrating in that similar vein is when he arrives and he has this, I don't even know where it comes from, but whenever he throws down the Romulan sign and he enters into the Romulan kind of area where they were sitting and he almost goads them into a fight. And he's so, I guess, confident that he knows the best. And I think we're supposed to, at this point in time, be like, yeah, Picard, show him, you know.
Fight racism.
Exactly. And
basically.
Right. But I also felt that, and maybe this is purposeful, that it really continued to showcase his ego. Which
and
again is hard
arrogance
to see.
And naivety. Like, it's odd to see him as naive.
Yes, and that's the part that seems out of character. You would think that he would look at the circumstances and say, I have something to do with the reason that this is uncomfortable, so I'm going to do my best to earn back trust. And for him to think that the way to earn back trust is to disrespect their space like that and completely ignore the boundaries. And yes, it's making a point, but it also leads to a decapitation. And sure, that was the kid's, what's his name? Elnor. It was his decision and his action, but it was because Picard put himself in that position and just like kicked the hornet's nest down. And you would think that at this point in his life where he knows he's getting older and his mission is to try to save, Soji Tabuchi. God, what's her name? Soji. Just to save her.
Just plain old Soji.
That he would be more careful. That he would be like, my goal is to get to Soji, not to die right here because I'm being an asshole. So I would try to find a way to sin that in general because I just found that to be really out of character.
He is one of the most decorated and respected diplomats in the history of the Federation. His thing is diplomacy and not getting into conflict. And he just boots the door down and says, I'm going to sit here because I'm not a Romulan.
Is it because he is losing his mind a bit? Are they playing into that?
No,
I don't know.
I don't. It didn't feel like that. It felt like I don't like racism, and I'm going to show you how much I hate it and how disrespectful this is, which is a great message. But also, you're the reason that...
Or one of them.
They want... Yeah, you're one of the reasons that they want this to be only Romulans. So if you want to fix the problem, this probably isn't the way to do it.
No.
The only other logic I can see behind it is that maybe he did it to goad Elnor into action, but man, that's a gamble.
But that's a gamble because he doesn't even know if Elnor followed him from the fairy kingdom. Listen, can I talk about the other sin on that? Is that okay?
Please.
So there's this. The crew is up in space, about to be attacked by the bird of prey and the person that's coming from there, and then Picard is like, I'm ready. And then his shit, the crews are like, okay, it'll be a minute. And Picard goes back from talking to Elnor. He goes back into the city. Why go back into the city at all? If you know that people are hunting you, if you know that you're in danger, yes, it leads to the scene, but why not just go hide in a bush for a hot minute? Wander around in nature. You don't have to go back into the pit of vipers that want to kill you and then go kick the hornet's nest.
Yeah, don't go back into the most hostile Starbucks that you've ever seen. If you need a coffee, great, but just go somewhere else. You're absolutely right. That was a bad choice. So I have another one. The antique bird of prey is excellent. I love it so much. However, that ship, and I've just checked this out, is at least 142 years old. 142 years old. How is it still functioning? And how is it even a match for the La Sirena? I don't care if it's the most advanced ship from 150 years ago. 150 years ago, we were in boats. There is no way, like, even a shuttle pod would rip that ship apart. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe there's ways to do upgrades and stuff, right? Like you can upgrade
why?
it.
Like, why keep upgrading an iPhone 2 when you can just buy an iPhone 9?
Some people like nostalgia.
A gang lord? Is he really that nostalgic for a fucking 2-century-old ship?
Listen, if you're a gang lord, let's say that you're a gang lord, you got a gang, and you come across an old Ford, like one of the original cars, and you're like, you know what, I could take this thing and I could put a new engine in it and some new tires on it, and we might be able to go over and kick this other team's ass. Like
just kicking the edge of it is like, yeah, it's done. It's got some mileage, but this baby will keep you going.
The difference, of course, is that you're in the vacuum of space, and so if like one little tiny part of it comes undone on a panel, then all of a sudden you're all just dead in space.
Yeah.
So
this is a gamble.
There's a moment when you're going to buy a car, right? Do you invest in your old car just to keep it running, or do you just get a new one because it costs more to bring up an old one?
Yeah.
You know, so there's like
it must have cost more to make this damn ship spaceworthy than to get a new ship.
That's amazing. Yeah.
As much as I loved it, I was like, you could not have picked an older ship unless you literally put a boat in space.
Which is what we can just call it. The boat of prey.
The boat of prey. I love it. Worth it, but it bugged me.
Absolutely. This one is disgusting, and I don't want to spend more time on it other than just saying incest.
He's your brother. I have a note that I can't, in caps.
Let's not spend any time
your brother.
on it. It's so uncomfortable to watch.
Done. Yeah, move on.
Go ahead. Your turn.
So it's actually in the same scene. He still wears the earpiece when he's asleep? Like, does he never take it out? Like, no wonder you're fucked up. Like, someone's whispering into your dreams as you're unconscious. Probably your sister.
Probably.
Whispering sex dreams into your ear.
So strange.
Yeah, so strange. Narc.
There's this moment when Elnor says to Picard, when they're kind of having when Picard is saying, I'd like for you to come with me because you're young and able-bodied and I need you. And Elnor says, he says, you left me on my own, old man. Like, you left me alone. And I'm like, you haven't been alone. You've been surrounded by women who have been teaching you how to become a warrior the whole time. So much for candor and honesty. That is the most unhonest answer. He hasn't been alone. He's just been a dude with women, which they've they kind of make a point of, and I was uncomfortable with that a couple times. Like, he doesn't belong
same.
here because he's a boy. It's like, oh, okay,
Ugh.
that's a little bit uncomfortable, but whatever. And then we're coming back to it, and they've kept him and raised him, and like, whoa, Picard's like, I would have thought that you would have found another place to send him. It's like, this is a poor kid. This poor kid has been emotionally abused by people saying that Picard doesn't like him and want him. That's how the episode starts, is this kid being told, you know, Picard doesn't actually like children, doesn't actually like you. And then they play with this whole abandonment thing, and all the nuns are essentially saying, you don't belong here because you're a guy. And we're like, oh, this kind of feels icky. And then we get to that really moment, icky. And he's kicking it back over going, you left me alone. It's like, but you literally have never been alone. So that was a frustrating thing for me to have to kind of.
And you've been left in the best possible hands as well. You haven't been, he didn't leave you with like the horrible teacher from Matilda. Like, you've been left with like some really nice people.
I mean, they might be like uncomfortably honest. And again, emotionally, like that would be hard to hear your whole life. That you don't belong here because you're a man. Like, that's going to fuck with you. So yeah, maybe they're like good people that know how to make nice food and train you to murder, and it seems peaceful. But being raised in an environment where you're constantly being reminded through this sort of level of, you know, absolute candor that you're not desired. However, they do also, besides saying you shouldn't be here, they're also honest about his skill set and his, you know, his temperament.
Oh, and how
things.
great he is.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, hopefully he's had a chance to sort of focus on the positive, which they also mirror in the opening scene when Picard is like, I like you, I just don't want to be around you. And honestly, can't we all relate to people like that in our life? So, I like you, I just don't want to be around you. Yeah.
Small doses, please.
Small
like
doses.
once a week when we have to record a podcast. That's all I need.
Yeah, this is actually a good segue into the news section, which is Deneé tries to take over the show to end it because she doesn't like Ian.
Oh no, it's so true. So that
true.
leads really nicely into two things that I found icky.
No.
Yes. No,
Okay.
well, not that. The things before.
Okay.
Everyone loves me.
Yes.
Yeah. The two things that are icky for me about this, I wish this had been gender swapped. Like, we don't need a male redemption arc. What would have been cool if this was male warrior monks and Elnor is a girl, and I was like, well, she can't be a warrior monk because she's a girl and we don't accept girls. And she grows up and is trained and is an absolute badass regardless. I would have loved that gender swap a little bit, as long as it didn't come off as too patronizing or preachy.
I mean, you know what I think would be really great in a show like this with influence is if it wasn't about gender at all.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right, actually. Yeah.
Because what
if he was a Vulcan? Like, it was,
what if it was a race
Romulan
thing
monks that accept a Vulcan. Yeah.
And even then it would be nice to not have to do like a them versus us, but that's a common thing in our life, is trying to figure out what them and us means, you know. And there's a way to really do that, but the gender play was uncomfortable for me on a lot of levels.
Why would it matter in the 24th century if we're getting to a stage now where it's gradually starting to not matter?
Yeah.
The very, very earliest point. 300 years from now, you'd hope we'd have made a bit more progress.
Yeah.
Even a different culture.
I do think I agree with you at the end of the day, though, that I think a female joining the crew would have been more nice.
Interesting anyway. Yeah.
But then we would have a crew of mostly women, and well, that's a very uncomfortable thing. Okay. Too many women.
We can't. I mean, once a month you guys just go crazy and steer the ship in crazy directions.
There's the emotions. Yeah. Who makes the sandwiches? There's just argument.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Like, you all have to go to the toilet at the same time. So who's going to man the ship? Just unreal. Which leads me to the final point was, great, warrior women nuns, and it still comes down to a man that is the one that Picard wants. So it goes back to the gender thing of, it had to be Elnor. Like, none of these, I know there's a guilt thing attached to it as well, but none of these other warrior women were good enough. It has to be Elnor. He happens to be the best fighter. There was, just lots of ickiness.
Yeah, no, it really was. We've been trying to get rid of this kid for all of his life. Can you please just take him? And also, he's trained,
he's
and
the best.
It would be great to see him do something with his life before he dies. It was very interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they play into the psychological damage that I assume Elnor has, but I hope that they do a little bit and give him some character other than just being a warrior. But based on your visual response to that, I'm going to guess not. At one point in time, even Rafi, she says he's just a boy with a stick.
Fuck you. Like, he's
I was like,
bigger than you.
What the fuck? He could kick your ass. Like,
you don't know him.
He just teleported here. He just came over. And the first thing you're going to say is, it's just a boy with a stick?
And she knows these people. She helped relocate them. She knows who the Court Malat are.
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's Rafi, I know she's rough around the edges, but that also seemed a little strange.
A bit roughy around the edges.
And what a strange thing, too, just in general as a culture, that they bind themselves to lost causes only.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
I like it.
You think they'd run out pretty quick.
That's what I was going to say. It's like they're probably
they
not
only
very
ever
many.
go on one mission. Yeah. They don't go on many missions each because they keep picking the wrong ones.
Yeah. It was a funny moment. Like, it's kind of like a wah, wah,
Agnes is just like, fuck.
Shit, okay.
Shit. Anything else?
Oh, I just wanted to send the fact that they were all standing up on the ship whenever, like, they should really just be sat down and just buckled in. It's just too much opportunity to fall over in the cargo bay style ship.
Inertial dampeners, it's fine, but when they get turned off, it sucks. Yeah, agreed.
There was a lot going on there, and people are just standing up, like, just spinning around.
Yeah, Picard's just like, oh, I got this. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Nope. He's got hip dysplasia at this point in time in his life.
Sure.
So
my very, very last one was and I mentioned it earlier, the guy the hologram in charge of weapons, why was he drunk? Why is he programmed to... I think he was.
I know.
He definitely acted like it.
You said that earlier, and I was like, oh, okay. I didn't think he was drunk.
Maybe not.
I think he was exasperated. I think he was just like, God, why do I have to be here? But I think you saw it as him being inebriated, which is fine.
It wouldn't surprise me. But the other problem is, why do we need him at all? Like, an emergency medical hologram, I get, because there's physical stitching that needs to happen. The hospitality person, get it. The engineer, get it. The weapons and navigation person, you are the computer. Just tell it to fire. Tell it to go left and right. Why do you physically need to be there to punch the buttons? And the buttons are only there as an interface for humans that can't get inside the computer.
Do you feel like they're paying the actor enough to play every role of the ship?
And you will ask that question again in a couple of weeks. And the answer will be no. Whatever they paid him, it was not enough. It was not enough. I'm still blown away by your prediction last week that he is the captain that killed himself and that he's the hologram of that captain. I'm still thinking about it because that's so good. I wish that's what they'd done. And if Michael Chabon, if you're listening, kick yourself right now because that is a stroke of genius.
Hire me
Deneé now.
I would love to become a writer for you guys. I do have a couple things that I would write into my contract immediately.
Yep. Yeah.
One
Okay.
is I need to have access to the patterns of clothing so that I can have someone make them for myself because they're not anywhere. I want to wear the casual clothes from Picard. So it just you don't have to give them to me. I will figure out how to have them made. I'll pay my own seamstress. I'll get my own stuff. And the other thing is that Ian's got to come with me. He's got to be my co-writer because he knows the words I don't know.
It's amazing. I would be that person. I would do it. I would absolutely do it. Okay, with that, let's head to our final stop, which is the captain's ready room. Welcome to the Captain's Ready Room, where we hear our ambassador's predictions for the rest of the season and bask in her Q-like glory if anything she has previously predicted come true.
Has it come true?
The fact that Soji hasn't been activated yet, so she is unaware, and we know that now. She's completely oblivious to the fact that she is an android, she's a robot.
We do know that now. That's true.
We know that, and we know that that's also the mission of Narek, is to eventually activate her, because that's the way to tap into her consciousness information and whether there's any more of her around to get rid of.
So prediction for that is that it's going to be through coitus. I mean, obviously he's trying to activate
What, she
her.
hulks out? Like she has to keep her heart level below a
She has
certain
an
amount?
orgasm that's so intense from him, which is his goal, of course, since he's just horny boy.
Always.
So that's why he's so interested in sex with her. You know, is like her activation button has yet to be found, and that's
Couldn't find the button.
that's
I
my
feel you, Narek.
prediction. That's my prediction. No, that was
Got
good
it?
to know.
Okay.
It is good to know that she's not been activated yet. That kind of like puts to rest a few things in my mind that I'm wondering how much of her is aware. And then of course there was also the conversation like that she thinks she was on this ship. And he's beginning to reveal more to her, like that he has been quote unquote watching her and knows a lot about her. So, you know, she's obviously got her own mission, because that was the other thing that the creepy sister said was, you know, she's got her own mission. She's got her own purpose. So she has maybe like an active mission, even though she's not activated. And that's an interesting kind of thing to watch too. Predictions about all of that. I don't think I have any new ones. We know that she's being called the Destroyer. So I still, you know, wonder if, I don't know. I honestly don't know anything.
No, they didn't give us enough information or anything really new to grab onto.
No, not really.
There's two big directions that I'm going to steer you in.
Oh, no.
Why do you think Raffi is so pissed off that Free Cloud has been delayed? Why do you think she's trying to get there?
Probably because she's set up a trap for Picard and was going to be delivering him within a certain amount of time.
Interesting. That's really cool. That's very interesting. Next one, 7 of 9. What is she doing? Why was she out in that ship? What was the ship? What's she doing? What's going on with her? Now, there is maybe enough in this episode to give you a hint.
Okay, so I'm going to guess something about her potentially being like a bounty hunter style person, you know, like, you know, somebody who's obviously really good at piloting and has a lot of skills, and she's badass, and she's got like this fast vehicle. And I'm guessing that when Picard showed up on the radar, like, hey, all the hunt this guy, come get him because we want him to dead, she probably was like, nope, I'm going to go save Picard's ass. So I think that might be why she showed up, is because there was like transmission about him being found. That would be one of my assumptions. She didn't have a big ship, so whatever she was doing, it wasn't like, didn't seem to be a cargo transportation or like, you know, anything huge and major. It was more like just hers. And
Nippy.
And she said, you owe me a ship, which means she really needs that ship for her life, which makes sense if you live where you travel by space. So that's not really a prediction as much as it is something obvious.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's all the assumptions I'll make.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, again, it's a lot of exposition this episode, not a lot of new mysteries set up, just lots of explaining some old ones. Okay, so before we say goodbye for this week, let's do a quick bit of 6 Degrees of Trecoration.
Oh, this is the game we can play. Okay.
Yeah, I think I need to workshop the title. So this is where Deneé gives me a word or an object or a thing, and I have 6 chances to get it back to Star Trek.
Right. And they have to be, yeah. We're making it up as we go. Again, thanks for you guys' suggestions about things that we can do to frustrate Ian, just in general.
Yeah. And Deneé can veto, I think, 2 of my things.
Something like that. It's fun to see you flex your Star Trek nerdness, though, because you actually... what was it the other day? I sent you a GIF that I found.
Oh my God.
And you were like, I actually know the episode title and I know the words that are said on screen right after this moment.
Yes.
I was like, what the hell? That's so cool.
It's a GIF of Data and Picard. And I was like, I know exactly what's happening here. And I was like, season 1, episode 2.
That's so cool. Okay. Your object is a dirty sock with a hole in the toe.
Why is everything dirty? It was a dirty needle, and now it's a dirty sock with a hole in the toe.
I don't know. I'm a dirty girl.
You're a dirty girl. Okay, cool. So.
Okay, fine. A wet sock.
Oh, that's
with.
even
So we'll do. Hold on. Let me just change it. We'll do. You're right. I should change it up. A wet sock that smells. No, that's dirty. Yeah. A wet sock with a hole in the toe.
Okay, cool. A wet sock with a hole in the toe.
It's a black sock.
A wet black sock. Okay, cool. Okay, so Wet blanket.
With a hole in the toe.
With a hole in the toe, specifically. Okay. So I'm thinking, why is it wet? So this is an old sock that's very, very comfortable that somebody doesn't want to get rid of. They've stepped in some water. So they're on holiday at the seaside. So this is why it's wet.
Oh, I
and
see.
It's an old toe. It's an old sock.
Okay.
The seaside. So that's my leap. We're at the seaside.
So so you're saying that the sock is wet with seawater.
Yeah, it's wet with seawater.
Okay.
And it's an old sock. So
whoever was wearing it stepped into water.
Yeah, stepped into water, and that's why it's soaking.
Okay.
That gets me to the beach. No, I don't like that. This is so hard. Because I could just say, yeah, this person likes to holiday on the beach, and then they exist in Star Trek. Seawater is very salty, and in Men in Black, Vincent D'Onofrio's character needed salt water to live. Just had to keep eating all of the salt water.
Okay. All right.
And in that movie, Will Smith is in that movie.
Yes.
And he is also in Independence Day.
2 more steps.
And in Independence Day, Brent Spiner plays a crazy scientist.
1 more.
And Brent Spiner plays Data.
Ta-da!
Yay! I did it! Oh, that was a leap. So we went from a wet sock to the sea to saltwater in Men in Black to
Will Smith
to Independence Day to Brent Spiner to Data.
You did it.
Yeah. Yay! That was great. How would you have done it?
How would I have done it? I would have been one. So my brain is like, okay, in what episode was there something to do with doing laundry?
Oh, okay. I couldn't get there because you never see anybody do laundry ever.
Wow.
You once see Data clean up someone else's quarters. That's about it. And he folds their laundry. It's his girlfriend, and he's just like, "You're such a slob. I need to clean this up."
Wow, that's so crazy. Okay, okay. I gave you a really difficult one.
That was tricky, but I got there. I think I need to do it
You did great.
in 6 steps.
Yeah.
Like, I think that needs to be the rule, is that...
Yeah, like 6
'cause that
degrees
stops me
of
from-
separation, yeah.
Yeah, it stops me from just saying, yeah, well, I just replicated a holy sock with water in it, because
You can't do
replicators
that.
exist.
No.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Deneé. I'm so excited for next week, because next week's... I keep saying this every week, but next week really kicks it up a gear. The episode is called Stardust City Rag, and anyone that's already watched Picard, please tell me exactly what you think of this episode, because I know it has a reputation, and I cannot wait for the next
my God, I'm nervous. Okay.
Yeah, it's big. So thanks for listening. It's Jolan True from me, and what would you like to say, Deneé?
Okay, what language is that?
I do this to you every week. So this was Romulan. Jolan True can be used as goodbye or hello. It's interchangeable. It's like, ciao. One day I'll give you more than a second's notice. I like you being on the spot, though. And it's a wet sock from Deneé.
Wow. This is tricky.
I can give you a Romulan word if you like.
No! Or you could tell me ahead of time.
Hey, I've done this 3 weeks in a row. If you're not catching on that you have to have your own exit.
The problem is that how do you even say these words? That's the tricky part.
Yeah, guess it.
Okay, well then I guess mine would be Riv Ariane Deore, which means when pigs fly.
And it's that from Deneé. We'll see you next week.
No, you have to say it. You have to say it.
Say it again. Say it again.
No, here, I'll just send it to you. Ready? Check your messages.
Okay. Oh, for fuck's sake. All right. So it's Jolan True from me, and it's Riff Ariane Dior from Deneé. We will see you next week for episode 4, and as always, live long and Podsper.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Want to connect with the show? Our hailing frequencies are always open through captainspod@cinemasins.com. Like, comment, and subscribe on your podcast player of choice, and be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
Ba, 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 ba.
Deep 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 do do.
Dee bop dee bo. What do you mean save the funny stuff?
Okay, right. The funny stuff can start.
I'm already recording. You can have the funny stuff from my file.
What? Yeah, but not from my side. What if I said something hilarious?
That's rare though, you know?
Oh.
I thought I was going to get bonus points for wearing my comm badge. But I do have to say, I don't like pinning things because I don't want to make a hole in my shirt.
I got to get you a magnetic one, haven't I? Just pin it straight to your skin. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, well, that works.
Yeah, I'm gonna pin it to my skin.
Nice.
Oh, podcast listener, don't try this at home.
Please do not. Oh my God, there's so much blood. Whoa.
Well, you know, it's for the show. It's fine. Don't. I didn't realize
it's not. I can see your heart.
So if I ever want to use it, I just have to, rip open my skin and actually no. I can just put the skin flap back over the top. And
yeah, no, that's
you
great.
You wouldn't even know.
Let's keep talking about skin flaps.
It's like a pacemaker.
Yeah, it's great. You know that Picard has a pacemaker. He actually has a completely artificial heart.
Now or always?
Since he was in the academy.
Since he's been gone!
Right,
Sorry.
I think you screamed so loud your mic cut out. What did you say?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, since the academy, he's had...
Since he's been gone!
What? Are you being very quiet or are you screaming?
No, I turned my head away from my microphone so it's not in my microphone. Otherwise, it would sound crazy.
Right. Got it.
I'm singing Since He's Been Gone. It's funny for the podcast listener who's hearing it later.
My
you, however, in the
goodness.
moment, totally clued out.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Since you've been gone,
oh, no.
for the first time.
Man, I got something sticky on my desk over here. And
Name of my sex tape?
Wow. I can't get it off.
Name of my sex tape. Nice.
I'm distracted by it.
Name of my sex tape.
I just keep rubbing it.
No. I draw the line there. The line must be drawn here.
No further. No, listen, I don't actually.
No further.
I don't actually know this quote. It's just that everyone quotes it, and so like everyone quotes the "that'll do pig" or "that'll do donkey."
That'll do donkey is the correct quote.
Right, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I've only ever heard it like one time, but everybody knows it from all these other sources. I just say it because everybody else is saying.
Is that your boulder? That is a nice boulder. How's your skin flap? How is it?
Oh, I think it's good.
Yeah?
I put on a little bit of ointment and some bandages, and from movies we know that's enough to heal me, so we're good.
That wasn't ointment.
Yeah. What was it?
It was butter. You just put butter. Someone switched the ointment out with 100% butter.
And by someone, do you mean you when you visited here? Did you change out my medicinal my medicinal ointment?
I can
with butter?
neither confirm nor deny.
So then we just have to set our sights to portals.
Portals are great. Portals
are
fun.
that's the next thing that I'm gonna do. I'm gonna set my sights to portals.
You're gonna invent a portal.
Yeah, with my vast knowledge of shit. Listen, I drew a picture today. I kissed a piece of paper so that it made a lip print, and then I drew a little face. This is the genius level that I can achieve. So it's certain I'm the one to invent portals.
I mean, you invented the doodle this afternoon, this morning.
Yeah.
Before you'd
just
even
moments
had
ago.
breakfast.
Yeah. I created you know what I should do is I should tweet this and encourage people to do the same. Show me your doodle. Show me your smooch doodle.
Smooch
Show
doodle.
me your schmoodle.
Schmoodle.
Which sounds
the
like
whole
a dog.
Kit and caboodle. You should. There would be many entrants, including myself.
You think so?
Yeah.
Do you have lipstick?
I can find something that will pass as lipstick.
Then I'm challenging you right now.
I have to leave and do this because I'm just going to smear mayonnaise on my lips and then kiss.
Why mayo? Why? Ian, why do you go to mayo first thing?
Because I've run out of ketchup.
Okay. Do you have any packets of ketchup from
No,
maybe
why
a
would I-
drive-thru or something?
Because I either use them or bin them.
Bin them means throw them away.
Trash them. Put them in the trash receptacle. Yeah. Trash them. Do you have an equivalent of bin them? Of bin it? Look, just bin it.
Chuck it.
Chuck it.
I like to say chuck it in the fuck it bucket personally. What the absolute fuck is going on with us right now? Are you okay? You're coughing a lot. Are you feeling better?
I'm feeling much better, thank you. Much
Because it doesn't
better.
sound like you're feeling better.
It only hurts when I talk, so this is going to be great.
Oh no!
You get a different energy when you're in the same room, and you glaring at me in person saying, "Shut up explaining everything and let me watch the damn episode," will be missing. I was like, "Deneé, who's that? Who's that? Who's that?" It's like, I don't fucking know.
Stop fucking talking to me.
Also, you can't tell me off for playing with the mic equipment. You told me off for that a lot last time.
You wouldn't stop touching it.
So stop fucking touching it.
Like it was like you couldn't. It was like you gravitated towards it. It was like
Yeah, but I couldn't get it in position.
Well, that's a you problem.
Well, it's a problem for the mic because it's going to keep getting touched until it does what I tell it to.
Yeah, you got to learn how to use the arm. It's this.
Mm-hmm. Which is what I've done now. Mm-hmm. But I'm still scared of moving it.
You know why you're scared of moving it? Because I yelled at you enough to make it better.
And I have very mild PTSD.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
You're not sorry. I'm like Picard at the end of Chain of Command, where he now can't look at lights because he's been tortured into thinking there are 4 lights. Well, there are 5 lights, but there was only 4.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, so the guy he's trying to get information out of him, but eventually he stops trying to get the information and he just wants Picard to say that there are 5 lights in front of him when there are only 4. And if he can get Picard to say there are 5 lights, he's broken his will. And all the way through, Picard is just like, there are 4 lights!
Yeah, I would just be like, yeah, sure, it's 5. Can we go to lunch now?
Yeah, can we go? But that's it. He was like, you can have as many women as you want. We can talk about theology and philosophy, and you can live in a museum. All you have to do is tell me there are 5 lights. If you keep saying there are 4, I'm going to torture you for the rest of your life. And he won't do it.
But why?
Because he's
Picard
evil.
Is stubborn.
And
That's
Picard
why.
is stubborn. Super stubborn. Won't do it.
Just like Ian.
Hey! Yes, true.
You have to be when you're a captain, though, you know.
You do, especially when you've got a butt for an ambassador that just fucks with everything. Every room I walk into, you've changed like the panels and everything. And whenever I go to the replicator for a whole week, all it would do is replicate oranges, no matter what I asked for. I was like,
Well,
hey,
just
I
wait.
need a new t-shirt, but a fucking orange appears.
Just wait for this week's, it's marshmallow surprise all week long.
So wait, whenever I ask for a marshmallow, something different appears, or it's always marshmallows?
Well, it's just variations of marshmallow. I've been working with the engineers to, keep it interesting because I did get some complaints about the oranges because it was always just an orange. So I realized that there's a lot more to be done. We could like flavor things with orange, but orange was last week. So this week we're going to go marshmallow. Okay. It'll be great. So when you get your tea, for example,
right,
you might have teeny tiny little marshmallows in it one day.
Shit.
And then the next day,
who puts marshmallows in tea?
Doesn't matter. We're having fun. Do you know how fucking boring it is sitting on a goddamn ship all the time? We have to move stuff around.
You have to fuck with the replicators. That's the only thing you can do. Let's fuck with the food supply. Let's do that. Let's fuck with the water table because that's how you keep people happy.
Yeah, apparently I forgot about the hologram situation too. Like I could go into the holodeck. That would be endless fun.
Yeah, you can have all of the fun in there, but instead you fuck with the food holodecks, which is
sorry about that.
The problem is there was oranges everywhere, but you forgot to put the inside of the orange in, so it was just the peel. So even if one of the rare occasions where I wanted to eat the orange, I was like, well, I wanted a cup of tea, but now I have an orange. I would peel it, and there's nothing inside. That's so frustrating.
Did you try to eat the air? Because maybe the air inside of it was delicious and nutritious.
Well, I sniffed it, and it was fine.
See?
Smelled oddly like apples, which was weird. I've had to fire so many engineers already. They're all just like scrubbing the holodeck. Just
is
like,
that where Jonathan went?
Yes.
I thought he was going to join the show as an engineer.
No, he was like, head of engineering, and now he's scrubbing the holodeck after Riker's used it. And I will try not to go into a full episode synopsis like I did last week.
Why not? You gotta flex. You gotta flex your knowledge.
Flex it. Felicium.
Is this more talk about buckets or what?
I mean,
the art of touching a bucket is Felicium. What? Okay, I'm gonna go with the Tribble.
The Tribble. Nice.
Because that's what, isn't that the little furry one?
Yeah, they're the ones.
I just couldn't remember their names, so I had to go look it up.
Yeah, they're like gremlins. So don't get them wet. Don't feed them after midnight. So the episode starts, and there is a house that is burning down. And an ensign who is a Tribble. This is the first Tribble to be admitted to Starfleet. Its brain has been augmented so that it is intelligent enough to converse and learn, but it still hasn't got any arms or legs, so it just kind of rolls around. And you see the Tribble, you see it looking at this house, and the house starts to burn, and it burns down, and then you hear the Tribble squeak, "Computer, end program." But it won't end. And then there's just a blaze, and then through the window you see 4 other Tribbles trapped. Bum, 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 bum.
I was into that. Like the Tribbles, they have hair. It's just singed off in that fire.
It smells hideous. The smell of burning Tribble hair is
it's
not
awful.
pleasant.
Yeah.
And they're just squeaking.
And the most disturbing part is like once all the hair is gone, you see the actual Tribble underneath.
It's just a big old ball sack.
I was gonna say it has all these tiny little like little suction cups like on the underside of like the octopus,
amazing.
So that wherever it rolls, it kind of sticks. But the hair has actually been impeding its motion, so this is like a huge evolution for the Tribble.
Oh, and now it starts a new trend where all of the Tribbles are now shaved, and it's like, well, why do these Tribbles look different to the original Tribbles? Well, this is why.
Well, there was a fire. This is the episode that explains how the Tribbles evolved into the Troubles. So is that how we're going to do the new episode beginning every time? Because that was a lot of fun. But I have to say, like, tell me a tragedy, Deneé. I'm like, whoa.
Whoa, this got heavy.
I thought we were
I'll
going
let
to
you
talk
pick
about Star Trek.
I'll let you pick the things next time.
Okay.
So we might have something happier. I just went really dark.
No, that's great. That's great.
I burnt down all the Tribbles.
That's how you start a show, though. You have to have the drama of the show.
Yeah. And then you spend like the opening theme song just like, what's going to happen next? Hooked.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair,
super hooked.
In 50 years or 55 years of Star Trek, we've never seen a family of Tribbles in a house fire.
Until now. Do you think that there's any chance that someone listening is like a Star Trek writer and they're like, man. All right.
Yeah, I want to write some
All right,
Star
Captain's
Trek.
Pod fans, you know what to do. Head to Twitter.
Start a petition. Get Ian and Deneé on the writing team for any of the Star Trek shows. We don't care. We're probably best suited to Lower Decks, the animated one.
Reference that moment in the podcast where we create the most amazing storyline you've ever heard. Oh, I'm so excited for today, though. I have I listened to our episodes, and it's really interesting because I think I just re-listened to the episode where it was the exposition dump episode.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! And then of course the next episode that we did had more movement in it, and so that was fun. And so here we are now going even further. Therefore, finally on a fucking ship.
Right, are we ready to start an episode?
No.